Good evening, viewers, and welcome once again to Monday night's TTR race. And as always, Division 1 kick-off this week's action. I'm joined once again this week by TJM 1992 in the commentary box for this round 6 of Season 1 in TTL. It's Abu Dhabi that is playing home to the league this week, and it's a revised layout our drivers will be treated to tonight, now only featuring 16 corners instead of the 21 it used to boast. The track is definitely slightly more overtaking friendly now and will hopefully provide us with some great wheel-to-wheel racing this evening. As I mentioned, I'm joined by TJM 1992 and we already have some drivers on track. Then TJ, good evening to you. I know you're a big fan of this layout, and even better for you TJ, we've got a full grid this evening that I've turned up just for you in the commentary box.
Yeah, good evening, Biddle. I absolutely love this new layout. And yeah, it's great to see a full grid for our Division 1 drivers. I'm certain that we're going to see some fantastic racing and a lot of overtakes with the new redesigned Sector 3 and the 2 DRS zones. I'm really looking forward to what drivers can pull on for us here.
Yeah, definitely. And as I mentioned, a full grid tonight, so we will have a very interesting, hopefully, three segments of qualifying. And if anything's wrong with the stream, I do apologise. About 1 minute before we went live, my laptop tried to jump off my desk, which was less than ideal, I'll be honest, but hopefully we're in full working order then, as Tiddlewink, as we can see at the moment, is going to start us on a flying lap. Then the first driver to go onto a flying lap, TJ, if you want to follow him round as he goes to the first new section of the track.
Yep, this a long, tight left-hander, taking the curve very nice there. DRS wide open as we've got Ashton looks to be tied through turn 3. Still notorious on this track. We'll go back to Tiddlewing all the way down to what picking your braking zone out. If you compromise your exit and entries to falling corners, but Tiddlewing Black has got it really done well here. Cars looking very planted. DRS wide open again, all the way down this newly designed part of the track, or down to the new design track in Sector 3. Tiddlewing once again, purple Sector 2, obviously his first drive around. But this is a fast sweeping corner, assuming you can keep it off the track limits, which Tiddlewink does very nicely there. Coming round, this is probably the trickiest part of the sector of the track side, but they have redesigned this part of the track as well. Tiddlewink taking it very nice, but very easy on the throttle as you can run wide and validate, but Tiddlewink's doing a fantastic job here. Coming around the last set of corner now. Doesn't go as wide as I've seen drivers go previously, but he's set at 126.5.
Yeah, 126.5 flat then from Tiddlewink, so not a bad time to put on the board then as the first driver to do so. And the times will surely come through thick and fast now. Plenty of drivers currently on flying laps at the moment. Then Diamond Douche has just come through the second sector in his Alpine. Then he's been a constant present in Q3, I should say, this season in TTL. He'll be looking then to match that this evening, and he'll have some confidence here, TJ, because I believe this is a circuit that favours those drivers that do slightly use more assists, and I think it's well known that Diamond Douche is using that full traction then, so surely he will find benefit in that, TJ.
Yeah, certainly. As we've seen, Shadows do. The track is very unstable, especially through turns 3, and then through some new design parts of the track as well. The rear can give in. The guys on who run more assists will definitely benefit from the guys that are, less assist and have to be a bit more cautious for the throttle use going through some of the corners.
Yeah, definitely then. So times, as I mentioned, coming through thick and fast now. Bawley, who has made the step up then from Division 2. He's racing his first race in TTL Division 1 this evening and currently has the provisionally fastest time then, a 24.6 from him in the Red Bull. Just ahead of Prem then, about half a second ahead of Prem actually, and Johnny Vane just slots in between those two to go second with a 1:25.0. Midfield Maestro now just behind that as well. We've been following Snizz's lap then as he crosses the line to 26.2 from the AlphaTauri man. And we should say this evening, TJ, welcome to all of our EULR drivers and viewers this evening, as we announced on our Instagram last week, along with them, our new partnership then, allowing drivers fast tracking into TTL and providing each other with support when it comes to things like commentary and stewarding as well. So a great partnership that we hope will help both leagues to thrive, and welcome, as I mentioned once again, to those. I know you're very much echoing the same sentiment, TJ, as me when it comes to the EULR drivers.
Yep, definitely. It's a massive partnership for TTL and the URL. As you get say, like, we'll see benefits from both servers through commentary and stewarding, as well as getting drivers fast tracked into each server. And yeah, long may it be a fantastic partnership that lasts for a long time.
Yeah, definitely then, as Revengezilla pops his AlphaTauri into P2 then, just behind Bawley then, a 1:24.7 from him, the second fastest time. We've already mentioned then Shadows was out through the first sector. Looks like he lost it on that right-hander CJ, which has been a crux really throughout many F1 games. It looks like it caught Shadows out there in the opening part of qualifying.
Yeah, it's very tricky. You see Jock go quickest for 24.3. Yeah, that turns 3 and 4. It's such a fast corner, so you try to keep the power down and you try to swing the car through a left-right section. And if you don't have the right setup, the rear just loses grip, or if you're running high pressure a little bit high, we know in this game, that can really unbalance the car. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. Hopefully Ashdown is just try to push it a bit too much in quali, and hopefully won't drop it in the base there.
Yeah, definitely then he has got a chance to come back from this one. Still a long way to go, of course, in the race later on. We're with the Lexus right now, his second race in TTL this week, I believe, and he's sporting the papaya orange of McLaren this week, and that new temporary livery. I think it's a load of rubbish personally, but some people like it. But here he goes, he comes around the final sets now. Got a bit of traffic ahead of him, he'll have to try and navigate that. Looks like no one is going to get in the way of that McLaren then. He comes across the line, it's a 25-1 from him then, just a tenth behind his teammate for this evening, Johnny Vane, into P7.
Yeah, apologies, fantastic lap from Lexus. I was just getting bullied back in as he just left. Yeah, fantastic lap, and we know he can go quicker than that, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. I was just on board of Livs, who looked like he backed out of his lap, off his lap time there, and he's going back around now as well.
Definitely then, Object Fungus is back racing this week in TTL. I know he's got a win to his name in TTL, and he's back racing once again. I think this is his third appearance, fourth appearance, not quite sure exactly on the number. It's one of those two. And he's back in his Mercedes for this evening then, of course, a driver who we know is very, very quick pretty much every race. So let's see, as he comes through the final sector, how much he likes then this Yas Marina circuit, as looks like he's negotiating it very well. Doesn't run too far wide there, doesn't hit the Latifi wall. Well, it should be renamed, I think, after, of course, last year's race in the real world F1, as Object Fungus crosses the line and it takes, unsurprisingly, the fastest time of the session so far. 1:24.0 from him, 2.5 tenths up on Jock.
Yeah, fantastic lap from the Mercedes driver there. I think we can safely say that isn't his fastest time, and he's probably saving a lot of time left for Q3, as Jensen has gone quick. He's now for 23.9. Fantastic seeing racing again, especially in the Red Bull. A fantastic addition from EURL.
Yeah, definitely then hoping to provide Object Fungus then with a bit more competition, should we say, when it comes to league racing here in TTL. And we know Jensen is a very quick driver. Should we call him Jensen now, TJ? You've added a bit of that foreign flair to his name now. We should go with the Jensen.
Yeah, He's throwing those Jensen now. Sorry, Jensen.
Yeah.
Every time we see him now, it's Jensen.
Yeah, well, we're used to having nicknames here in TTL, so why not carry on the trend with Jensen taking provisionally then the fastest time of the session so far. Diamond Dushi is a driver in trouble at the moment. I mentioned he was a fan of Q3 appearances. Well, he's struggling at the moment. He's 17th then. Hasn't got a representative time quite on the board just yet. And with his DRS open then, as he powers down to the newly reshaped left-hander of turn maybe 9, as a guess. I have no idea. I'll just throw a number out there. He's got some yellow flags ahead of him in Sector 3, but they'll be clear by the time he gets there. Then coming round this section of the track, which I absolutely hate, and I know a couple of people have been able to exploit certain track limits in that area. I think they've been tightened up for this game, fortunately. And here comes Diamond then looking to haul himself out of the bottom 5 in that Alpine. Crosses the line now and does so only just though into P14. So Diamond Douchey, TJ, going against what we said earlier, looks like he's struggling at the moment.
Yeah, that's surprised me. I would have thought he had the advantage over the drivers running less assists. But maybe in the traction zones coming out of the corner he's coming through now, turn 5 or 6, I think it is. And then coming down to a new sector as well, perhaps the traction there is just, with less assist, is more superior than running the assist through, I don't know, like likes of turns 3 and 4 in the tight corners he's coming up to now. But then maybe he hasn't got the correct setup on as well, so it's all to play for. And I haven't got tyres up, but let's see who's running tyre-wise. Okay, he's on 3-lap old softs as well, so that could have some say in it.
Definitely, he'll be hoping so anyway. Then 5.5 minutes left on the clock, and he's back into the bottom 5 and assists those P14 for the AlphaTauri team. I know he's keen on getting through to Q2, as he's not been the fastest in qualifying. I think he'll be first to admit so far this season, but looking then to improve in that AlphaTauri and try and get as close to his teammate as possible, as Ventura I think does have the upper hand when it comes to qualifying so far this season. Midfield Maestro representing Ferrari colours, as he's now a Ferrari driver, I believe, in Division 1 after joining them late in the season, and he's currently P12 at the moment. But that midfield pack, TJ, pardon the pun,
Really?
from about P9 to P13, very close at the moment then, so really a couple of tenths is the difference between, you know, top 10 or, you know, nearly the bottom 5.
Yeah, it says it's something we've seen throughout the Division 1 races, that, you know, you've got your guys up front that really, a game ahead of everyone else, as midfield Marshall puts on top 6 now with a 1:24.5. But yeah, you've got the guys at top who are in the league of their own, and probably from about I don't know, 7, I'm going to say 6 downwards. You know, the Raw is really close to one another, and we saw it in the sprint race last week. That provided some great entertainment for us, and the battling up and down the grid was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more with that. The field has been fantastic so far. I keep thinking back to that race, of course, at Portimao, where we had a 5-way fight for the lead. That one was absolutely brilliant to watch, and hopefully, if anything, this race is anything like that, I should say, then we will be on for an absolutely epic race this evening. Revengilla on a lap at the moment. Not many drivers are, as he comes now through Sector 2. Gets past the bit of traffic that was ahead of him very comfortably there through the left. I don't know why they kept this left-right into that. I think personally they should have just done a simple left-hander there, but needs must, I guess, and all that. I don't design circuits, but you know.
I agree. I think it makes more sense to make it a bit of a left-hander you could keep your foot down on. I think just left-right, it just sucks out the fun a little bit, especially coming to the second DRS zone.
Yeah, definitely. I always think when they change the circuit, track designers must be absolutely turning in their grave, if they're dead, of course. Because I mean, it's just admitting defeat here, and so another driver is admitting defeat. Then Revengezilla around at the final corner, hits the wall somehow, keeps that car from retiring then into the pit lane with no front wing. It looked like he was on for a fairly decent lap until he got it all wrong then, so he's going to need to get quickly in and out of the pits. But you'd probably say, TJ, looking at the times on the board at the moment, especially with Shadow's retirement, that he should be through then to Q2.
Yeah, he should be. And Sneers downwards, obviously, you're looking very scared at that point. As I'm on board with Jordan, AKI, and he's really struggling. He's already had a spin through turns 3 and 4, and he's just gone wide and validated his lap, and he hasn't got time to come put a fresh set on, and he's got to recharge his battery, but it's not looking great for the Alfa Romeo driver currently. Another driver that's really struggling as well is Groundsy. So he's coming on the final set of corners now, so we'll see if he can improve any and pull himself out to the top bottom. Yeah, he put himself P8. As expected, we knew he could go quicker.
Well, I've just witnessed something I think pretty idiotic there from Tiddlewink, who I think has just pulled straight in front of Jordan Aki. I think Tiddlewink was a bit upset with Jordan Aki. I think he felt that there was a little bit of impeding whilst he was on a hot lap. Tiddlewink pulls right in front of the Alfa Romeo and slams his brakes on them. So,
oh, fantastic.
That's not ideal from Tiddlewink. I imagine a pretty hefty penalty will be coming his way for that. If, of course, it gets reported by Jordan Aki, which I imagine it will then. So, Jordan Aki out of qualifying, no questions asked. His car in bits then down the second main straight. Not ideal for him. Frosted Cheese then, another driver joining us this week from EULR, is out in Q1, so we're only going to lose 2 more drivers. Let's try and get back to the action as Diamond Douchey is just about to start now his flying lap. Sniz then is half a tenth up at the moment. It's not enough for the AlphaTauri man, but he does still have another sector to try and find some time. Then Senetco is also out there on a lap as he's the driver in 15th and on the bubble at the moment. And can Sniz here through the final couple of corners find that time he needs then to get into the top 15? It was looking unlikely through the cutoff through sector 2. As he now comes around the final corner, he's managed to keep it on track, unlike his teammate. Gives himself a fighting chance of getting into the top 15 and does then just about. And now the questions go back to Senetco and Diamond Douchey. What can they do? Senetco is massively down on his time, TJ. What's Diamond doing?
He is 6 tenths up coming through sector 2, so it's going to be very close. He's got a fantastic sector 2 here, as we're right on board for him coming through this tight, tricky section. Picking his braking points out fantastic here, riding the curves, got this little bit of section where they've redesigned and hopefully doesn't run too wide, which he does, and keeps it within track limits currently. Goes a bit wide at Latifi's corner there, still keeping it within the limits, trying to ring this Alpine round as much as he can. Hits the curb on the exit and puts himself P4 as expected. He's finally put the lap in that represents perhaps something, them assists coming into play.
Yeah, Diamond Douchey then into the top 4, just behind his teammate. That's a bit more like it and what we expect from Diamond Douchey then. And he left it right until the last minute, you have to say. Johnny Vane, was that popping into P5? Was that Lexus? It was Lexus, sorry. Popping into P11 then for McLaren. So interesting there right at the end. Diamond Douchey delivering under pressure, but of course I think the most controversial incident in that qualifying session will have to be Tiddlewink then. What looked like getting blocked by Jordan on his, I think it was like a slow down lap, to be honest with you, so I think he did get in the way, but I think nothing can really excuse whatever we saw on stream there from Tiddlewink, putting right in front of the Alfa Romeo and slamming the brakes on TJ.
Yeah, he's currently trying to give it the big in the Discord, and I've politely told him to take it to the stewards and reminds him that his move didn't look great either. So he perhaps should be thinking twice about trying to call drivers out, but we'll leave it to the stewards and see what they say if he does get submitted or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see, of course, what the stewards think of that one, if it is sent in, which I'm almost certain it will be. But there is your final classification, and at the end of Q1, it was our much beloved Jensen going top of the times. The only driver into the 123s and just ahead of Object Fungus in P2. Then it was the Alpines in 3 and 4. Johnny Vane got into P5 for McLaren. He's always done pretty well on street circuits. So, be surprised if he gets somewhere near the top 5 in Q3. Then it's Livs in P6 midfield, Maestro P7, Bawley on his Q1 debut in Div 1 in P8. It's Groensey in P9, Magues are the championship leader, P10. And the 5 drivers we're losing from qualifying are Sniz, Seneco, Frosted Cheese, Jordan Aki and Shadows, who we saw crash very early on then. So, disappointment for those drivers, of course. I think Frosted Cheese will be disappointed as well. Jordan Aki might have some grudges going into the race against particular drivers, but we do come into Q2 then, TJ. And apart from really, maybe, I don't know, maybe Shadows, who you'd expect to get into Q2. Was there any other surprises from Q1 that you expect to see rectified here in Q2?
I mean, we haven't spoken about it yet, but our championship leader, Magues, I think he was P9 or P10 in Q1. He was about 7 tenths behind, which is it's not like the Haas driver. I mean, he has got a healthy lead in the championship currently, but he certainly won't want to be that far behind coming into Q2 or Q3, especially if he wants to continue trying to build a gap or trying to maintain his championship lead.
Yeah, definitely. He will want to find some pace in this session, of course. Going out in Q2 might be catastrophic for him here if that was the case, but he has got some time and he perhaps wasn't pushing as much in Q1 as he probably didn't need to get through to Q2 then. But we've got some drivers out on track then. We've got Prem taking to the streets of Abu Dhabi under the floodlights. We've also got Henkers as well out on track. Henkers is a driver for me in this division, TJ. Goes a little bit under the radar, but he always puts in solid results. And I know he was unlucky not to get points last week, but don't count him out here. Surely he's got the pace in the Aston Martin to at least get through to Q3, if not challenge for the top 5.
Yeah, definitely. He didn't have a great sprint race last week, but he did come up from P14 to get P3 in the end in the main. So we know he's got the pace. And in the championship, he's currently sat P5 as well, 46 points, pretty representable. But yeah, he is going under the radar a little bit, and I think that's because he's normally not involved in the big battles. He's normally on a quiet race to himself as such.
Yeah, definitely. He does like to keep himself, and that is how last week, as you mentioned, he managed to pick up that podium. I mean, he's been unfortunate at times, and last week he just kept his nose clean in that what was a very interesting Division 1 race last week. But yeah, hope to see more from him this week, and so do Aston Martin. Then they currently lead the Constructors' Championship by 25 points from Haas then, and Magues are the sole remaining Haas then in qualifying, so they've already got the upper hand here, the Aston Martin team. We're riding with Groundsy at the moment, who's just got very, very hot on the traction zone then, coming to start down that main straight, TJ. And I mean, we talked about traction earlier. Is it really a problem around here? There is a couple of big traction zones to get the most out of, and Groundsy's struggling already then. Oh, as... What's happened there then?
So what I think's happened there is that Revenge has had a spin coming through turns, in between turns 2 and 3, and he's spun into the pit lane exit, and he's tried to turn around, and the game hasn't given chance, and he's gone, he's blocking the pit lane, so we'll disqualify. That is an unfortunate glitch that's been there since day 1.
Yeah. It has been there, as I have also experienced that.
Yeah, I've also experienced that one.
It's not ideal, Revenge, but not ideal at all. But yeah, you'll be starting in from 15th, no higher than 15th, of course, given potential penalties. Prem then crosses the line, 25-1 from him. Henkers 25-2. Diamond with a 25.3 short on his effort then in Q1, so there's some more time to come in that. Johnny Vane, 24.6 from him. That should see him through to Q3 based on the times we saw in Q1. Jock then into P2 for Alpine, then outclassing his teammate on the first run once again, and Lexus still about half a second behind his teammate, then into P3.
Yeah, I'm on board with Object Fungus, who is coming on the start-finish line, goes past the 24.3 as Lexus has dropped it. At the end, she's turn 2. Oh, unfortunately, Object didn't get there in time, but it looked a really weird place for Lexus to drop the car.
Yeah, it looked like it was on the turn and into, turn 2. It was on the outside of that corner, so not too sure what happened there. Hopefully we can get some insight as to what happened there. Lexus was looking good for a Q3 appearance then, but even if he gets there now, he won't be able to take part. Then he'll start no higher than 10th, depending on the times from other drivers now. As we're with Livs now at the moment, then the Aston Martin driver, who's also won a race this year. I think he's won a couple of races actually this season. He's not been able to attend as many races as I think he might have wanted to do, but he is the closest challenger to Mag User in the championship, so there is potential here for Livs to try and chip away at some points if Mag User doesn't have the pace that he usually possesses then. And he's coming around the final corner. This looks like a tidy lap from Livs, crosses the line, and it is a tidy lap then. 24-0, TJ.
Yeah, that's a fantastic lap from Livs, that is. As you say, he's won a couple of races this year, and yeah, that'll race Smart Bells as Maggie's pops off in P2 now. Just merely 4 thousandths behind Livs. We've got the midfield marshal coming through sector 3 as well. Coming on the final corner now, and we'll see what he's doing. It doesn't look like he had a clean sector 3. Yeah, 24-7. One thing I was noticing, and we've spoke about traction already, is that midfield maestro is short shifting from majority of the corners to help that traction and break the rear from really spinning off.
Yeah, definitely that always helps in the traction zone. While all that was going on, CJ Diamond Douchey then, who has been struggling in qualifying so far, he left until late in Q1 to make it through to this part of qualifying, has now put it in the wall, so he won't progress into Q3 now and will start no higher than 10th. That boosts Lexus up a place at the moment, of course, depending on what those other drivers do around them. But Diamond Douche then just losing it in the traction, TJ, of turn 2. Looks like the back end got away from him and he's put it in the wall.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how drivers doing it through turn 2. I mean, but as you come on the long hand corner for turn 3, I understand that, but on the entry of turn 2, I've never seen cars lose the traction there. So I do wonder if people have gone a bit aggressive on setups. It's a little bit too much.
Yeah, definitely looking like they're trying to maximise that straight line speed then to Wade, overtaking in the race perhaps, but it's caught a few drivers out here this evening, and Diamond Douchey then the latest one of those to fall foul of that. Then he's down to P11 now, as you can see on the left hand side. Whilst TJ was talking there, Bully went into P7 for Red Bull, and the other Red Bull then of Jensen, as we call him, actually validated his first flying run, so he's now looking like he's trying to go again, but he's got no battery in the tank, so I mean, whatever lap this is, it won't be his best effort if he is going to try and finish the lap and not back off. So there is still a handful of drivers yet to put a time on the board. Tiddlewink, who we saw be a bit naughty in Q1. Groundsy then, who was looking like he was struggling then with 7 minutes left on the clock, goes into P5 for Alfa Romeo. Then Henker's starting a flying lap now as well. The two Red Bulls running line astern on the track at the moment. I'm wondering, is Jensen going to finish this lap then as he comes around sector 3? Definitely looks like he's still attacking the track. Comes around the final corner and into the pit lane then. It probably would have been enough to get it to the top 10, but he's choosing to get a fresh set of boots on TJ and come back out onto the track.
Yeah, probably a smart decision. As you say, I think it would have been enough to get himself through, but you just want to be certain, refuel up, perhaps get a new set of boots on and come back out as Tankers is tackling sector 2 right now, and he's the the left right has done a fantastic job on. As he's coming down to the new design sector 3, as we think it's about turn 9, turn 10. Purple sector 2. Obviously, we don't know if that's his personal, whether that's the overall fastest sector. We'll find out very shortly. He was 4 temps off as he comes through now the bit of a tricky section in sector 3. Just before the Latifi's wall. Keeping it off the curves, runs wide and validates his lap. And yeah, I think just took the sector corners a bit too tight, which gave him a really poor exit.
Yeah, definitely. Then the car just getting away from that corner is a bit off camber, but does try and put you into that wall on the outside, so you have to take it with caution. And Henk then falling foul of it, and the Aston Martin at the moment only P11 then will need to come back out on track to try and get himself through then into Q3. We've got most drivers in the pits lane then as we get into the lull of the session, but one driver who's got a lot of free air out there at the moment is Johnny Vaden in his McLaren through sector 1, just shy, or just over I should say, 100 on his fastest effort so far then, and you would imagine he's through, and I think he's actually come back out on used tyres then for the second run, so I'm just getting a bit acclimatised to the circuit then. Not too sure how much practice he had before this, but it all helps as he comes through the second DRS zone now, and I much prefer this corner now compared to what it was beforehand. It should be said. I think the old combination of corners was a bit clunky, and it might help us to see a bit more of a taking in the race, and he was then just shy of a 10th fast in sector 2, and coming around now sector 3, avoiding doing what Henkers did previously then on the penultimate corner, and he didn't manage to avoid what Revengilla did earlier on, and Johnny Vane then finding that the back end was pointing closer to the line than the front end of that car, which should never be the case, and he's straight into the pits.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised much for him. Johnny Vane thought it was a really decent lap. I've been on board a Fiddlewink for his lapping, and it's been a bit untidy throughout, and he's almost lost the back end as well and jumped straight into the pits and validates it again, but really not liking that in the second to last corner there. Very lucky that he managed to keep it on the pit straight, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. He's lucky to get back into the pits and will, I imagine, put a new set of soft tyres and look to come back out again. One driver who is under pressure at the moment is Jensen in P14 as it stands. Needs to get a time on the board in his Red Bull, his first appearance for Red Bull. It should be said, I know he likes the car, but he got his wish tonight by racing for the team then. I'm assuming Karen Horner won't be too happy though if he goes out in Q2, with Red Bull leading some points in the championship then. They are currently P3, but they'd much prefer to be in P2, a point behind Haas at the moment, and they're looking good for that fight with Bawley and Jensen then. Looking like they're both on the pace here, but Jensen's round then into sector 3, and the traction once again just getting away from him. And TJ, he's got about 2.5 minutes on the clock. He's surely got to stay out and try and go round again, but under massive pressure now.
Yeah, he is. I don't know what they've done to the track or whether it was since the update to the cars did for the sports update, but the car's definitely not liking the traction around here. As we see Jensen trying to cool his tyres down, get some ERS in, but I'm not sure what the smart thing is just whether do another lap again to build that ERS, but he's deciding to push. So I'll let him board to see what he does around here, but I would have perhaps done a cool lap and then pushed again.
Yeah, as Bawley then, as I was watching through sector 3 there, put in a phenomenal lap to go provisionally fastest in this Q2 session. That will easily see him through to Q3 and might start to worry the likes of Livs and Magus, and that pace is fantastic considering he stepped up from Division 2 just this morning and straight in at the top end of the timesheet. Tiddlewink now, looks like he's still struggling. I think he's on an outlap, just doesn't say it. Well, he gets very much out of the way this time of Henkers, who was a couple of tenths up through the first sector. He's also a couple of tenths up through the second then, so this should put him just inside the top 10, but perhaps not as fast as he would have wanted. Then crosses the line. Well, he had a phenomenal final sector. He found half a second in that Aston Martin into P5. Henkers through then to Q3 now.
Yeah, fantastic from Hankers there. I'm on board with Jensen still in. His EOS levels aren't looking great, and he runs a little bit wide, has to back out, and I'm not sure. I think it might be Cliff of seen through the top 10, but only just. As he comes on the final corner now and sets 1:24.3, so he's still got plenty of time on that Red Bull, even though he almost dropped it into Latifi's wall and had to correct and lose. I reckon he lost at least 2-3 attempts on that one little incident there.
Yeah, fantastic to still put the time on the board, and Jensen into the top 5 and surely through to Q3. Who are the drivers at jet danger? Well, it's Jock at the moment in his Alpine in P10 and looking like he's not going to improve then. So what can Prem and Tiddlewink do now then? Prem is currently a 10th quicker, which would put him ahead of Lexus, but he does need to find a bit of pace to break into that top 10 and beat Jock then, who comes into the pits. So definitely will not improve on that 1:24 race, and that's the target for the two Williams now as Tiddlewink comes around the final sector into the penultimate corner. He struggled to get a time down. Tiddlewink's got pace on his day, but he struggled in Q2 as a whole. But into the top 6, Tiddlewink, and pushing Jock then down into the bottom 5. Can Prem join his teammate now sharply behind him on the circuit? Will he be sharply behind him on the timing screen? Well, he isn't, but he is through still to Q3 into P9. Both Williams through then in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, midfield Marshall's going to be disappointed in his Ferrari debut that he's got knocked out in Q2. I mean, the time between him and Granzi is, what, 3 thousandths? So, very close. And, yeah, if you look at the 7th down to, what, 12?
Oh, we missed that.
Ah.
Well, that was going on. Mancuser, right at the end, takes the fastest time. That was completely under the radar. What a time. Mancuser, the fastest time. Mancuser, the fastest time in Q2 by some distance, and I was just about to say we've got a really interesting fight for pole position on our hands here, but Mancuser then 23.5. What a lap in Q2. He needs to reproduce that in the final part of qualifying, and that will surely be very close towards the front, if not pole. It's Bally with the next fastest time then, doing well in Division 1 so far. Lives rounding off the top 3. Object Fungus needs to find a bit of pace if he wants to challenge a pole, and then Jensen, who had the fastest time in Q1, could only manage 5th. And the 5 drivers that we are losing then in Q2: Midfield Maestro, Jock, Lexus, Diamond Douchey and Revengilla. And as we mentioned, the bottom 2 sticking it in the wall then. Actually, Revengilla, to be unfair to him, he did put it in the wall, but he was disqualified for just hanging out on track. So, yeah, get moved next time, lads, and you won't be disqualified. Actually, we should say as well, just a quick one, Jensen, thank you for following us on Twitch, by the way, pal. I know you're on the stream, so thank you for that one. We are one more towards me drinking of a shoot.
Yep, I'm sure everyone will enjoy seeing that one Biddle has to drink and luxury. I'm certainly for one looking forward to that one when it happens.
I'm bloody enough.
As Midfield Marshall says, he is disappointed he didn't top the first second run. Yeah, that's a schoolboy out, that is, and we know you got the pace to see you cut through the field in the race. Tailwink says, suck on that.
Okay. Cheers, Tailwink, lad. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just to point out, if there was a way that we could disqualify from qualifying, I'm almost certain we would have used that option. But
the definite, definite, yeah.
Let's suck on that. We'll see what comes your way next week, lad. I'll have to brake checking a driver and retiring in Q1. Anyway, there is drivers out on the track, TJ. Let's stop badgering Tiddlewink after he tried badgering us.
Yeah, as it says, our championship leader who's come out first, certainly throwing the marker down with that 23.5 he set. And I did say in Q1 that he looked like he was struggling, but he obviously had them sandbags in and released him in Q2. And I wonder if he's got anything else to give up here. We'll wait and see. As everything's going to be closely followed by Libs, who will no doubt try to get a bit of a cheeky toe, perhaps if he can keep close enough. But I think he might drop a bit too far behind now.
Yeah, definitely then. So it is going to be Maghuser who gives us our first flying lap here. We saw what pace he truly had at the end of Q2. Can he match that here in Q3? And if he can, you would suspect that he is surely now the favourite for pole. If everyone watching along wants to put in the chat who's your pick for pole position, will Jensen get his act together here in Q3 and challenge what looks to be a very quick pass in Maghuser as he's come through sector 1 fairly cleanly, coming down through the first straight of sector 2, then looking like that Haas is an absolute bullet in a straight line. Navigating the tricky left, right, a little bit of a twitch there mid-corner and a twitch then on the exit. Ooh. Very, very nearly putting that Haas into the wall. But Maghuser keeping it out of that, what would have been surely a retirement in that wall. And he will then live to fight another day, TJ. But is that pressure then getting to Maghuser here?
I think so, yeah. I think he's just trying to push a little bit too much. He's obviously set the bar. He wants to try and match it, if not go quicker. And yeah, we've definitely seen that the pressure get to him as we got Livs right behind him now. And yeah, Maghuser gets out the way, so we'll see what Livs can say. It's been a pretty clean lap from the Aston Martin driver so far. We know he's got the pace, so I wonder if he can get into the 23s like Maghuser has. And does set a 23.6. That's a fantastic lap from the Aston Martin driver.
Yeah, great time there from Livs as Tiddlewink then goes round at the final corner. Doesn't impede John Uvein in doing so though, and the McLaren can still go second fastest then with a 1:24.0, but the track definitely ramping up then as Bawley crossed the line with a 24.6 as well, and its object focus on an outlap grounds it into P5 with an unrepresentative time then, so it's what the Red Bull of Jensen can do now then. He was quickest in Q1, struggled in Q2, when has he finally got his act together in that charging bull, crosses the line, and he has. And it is provisional pole then for Jensen, matching Maghuser's 23.5 from Q2. And, well, Matt, he was saying to Maghuser, anything you can do, I can do ever so slightly better. 23.5 for Jensen.
Yep, as you know, you got Jensen that's matching Maghuser and saying, come match me. Object Fungus at the moment is flying around the track. He's set a purple set to launch. We don't know if it's his personal or whether it's overall. But he's trying. We know he's got pace in this Mercedes as he's coming through the second DRS zone now, and we'll see what he's doing all the way down to the end of sector 2. Hopefully the traffic element doesn't impede him as he sets a purple sector 2 as well, 52.7, so he's absolutely flying around the track currently. All about this last sector zone, if he's got the setup correct, and hopefully none of his traffic does impede him and they get out the way quick enough. As he comes through this left-hander, out the double left-hander, hits the curb on the exit, avoids Latifi's wall, the McLaren gets it away. As we got Alfa Romeo that's spun as well, doesn't put the Mercedes driver off, though he's coming to the line and goes 23.3, the fastest time we've seen so far. And we thought Jensen's time was magical and Livs, but that's something else.
Yeah, Object Fungus then finally showing his true colours. Q1 and Q2 look to be struggling then under the lights here in Abu Dhabi, but he is on provisional pole with that 23.334 then. The Mercedes man back to form, and that is, as you mentioned, a phenomenal time and such skill as well. I know he wasn't too close to the traffic in front, but even knowing it's there, TJ, sometimes as a driver, it just puts you off and puts you out your rhythm. But no question there for Object Fungus. He navigated the danger and provisionally then onto pole position.
Yeah, you say that traffic can put people off. It certainly won't put me off seeing McLaren there, then the spun off from Mayo after that, but he kept his cool, kept his calm, and yeah, it's going to take some beating to do that. As Junior Vane looks like he's doing a second on his soft tyres. Once we've sector 3 now as well, takes his braking point out for the right-hander. Needs to get himself set up for a double left-hander here. Takes curb on the end exit. Yeah, keeps it nice and track limits there, as we've seen some people run a little bit wide and not get the car settled, but he's looking very planted, Junior Vainers. Gets a bit wobbly on the exit. Doesn't go any... Oh, he does go a little bit... No, he doesn't go any quicker. And I wonder if I'd wobbly on the exit, cost him a bit of time there, but he's under pressure now to get back around and perhaps put a fresh set of boots on. And get himself back out. He's probably got only one more run, I'd say.
Yeah, you'd have to really imagine there that final bit of traction off the final corner there must have lost him a good chunk of time, because if you're the man behind that steering wheel, you would not finish the lap unless you were up on your Delta and Johnny Vane. The pressure just getting to the fin in the end, unfortunately, and he will need to quickly then get around the track, as you said, TJ, to try and get another time on the board. One driver then who is looking to make an impression in Division 1, Bawley. I know he's down as a reserve at the moment, TJ, in this division, having had to, I think he was forced to make the step up really from Division 2. And, you know, we say, TJ, that the gap cut off between Division 1 and Division 2 is really tight in terms of skill base. And, you know, that's why we hopefully, like, you know, look to expand in the future and spread out the talent a little bit more across further tiers. But Bawley has done a really good job here, because I don't really think he was setting, you know, the league alight in Division 2, but he's doing a stellar job so far in Division 1.
Yeah, he is. It's a fantastic debut in Division 1 for the reserve driver. He's standing in the Red Bull today, and yeah, he's certainly going to make some eyes, and you know why he's been given the chance to come to Division 1. But you just say a skill gap between Division 1 and 2, it's very close, and you know, anyone in Division 2 that's at the top end of it fast enough, don't be disheartened at all. It's just, you know, you can't force having into Division 1, otherwise, you know, we might not have a Division 2.
Yeah, definitely. And we want as many people racing, of course, each week as possible. We don't want anyone missing out. That's the worst part. When people miss out on seats and they don't get a drive and they put the practice in, that's where we really feel sorry for drivers. But fortunately, we didn't have anyone in that situation this week, so 20 drivers signed up and you all got a seat, so that's fantastic then. As Bawley comes through Sector 2, he is a tenth and a half down at the moment on his best time, and well, with 2.5 minutes on the clock, looks like he'll have to go for a cool-down lap. He won't have time to get in and change those soft tyres. I think he's gone a little bit early here, TJ, in the session. The track perhaps not quite at its best. I know there's probably fractions in it, but looks like he is going to have to go for a cool-down lap to improve, unless he has a phenomenal final sector, crosses a line, and it is actually an improvement on lap to 6/10. Bawley found in the final sector there, absolutely incredible. Imagine if he had matched that pace like the rest of the lap, he would have been right amongst the top 3. But Bawley then only still P60 good.
Yeah, he has got a chance to perhaps cool down, get some ERS back, and perhaps push again, but he's got to slow down a little bit, to be honest, and get that battery back. As we've got a bit of traffic actually going through, because some of the guys are coming out on their laps. Trying to see who's... Okay, so the 3 guys that are showing us out have all pushed in. Looks like they're coming back round again, so it is waiting for one of the guys in that lap to come out. I think it's going to be Janssen that starts his lap first.
Yeah, looks like it to me. He hasn't quite recorded as being on an out lap, but he is on an out lap. I don't think he's on a 4 minute 30 lap time, otherwise he's been up to no good out there. But as you said, TJ, he is going to be the first driver then now on those final runs to set a time with 1 minute left on the clock, TJ, if we want to follow his lap around.
Yep, definitely as it comes through turns 2 and 3, Carly can very plenty as we've seen some drivers lose it. First real breaking point as he comes to this long left hand that sets a purple sector one, so he's finding pace already. It's all about what sort of speed he's got here. He's in the DRS zone, and we'll see what sort of speed he can get to, and perhaps the fastest bit of the track. And he's pushing 205 miles per hour, so he's got a decent setup here for the straight line speed. You got this left right, which as Biddle said, not sure why it's still there, but your arms have got navigators, he says, and he's keeping it tight to the wall, his DRS wide open. Coming down to the end of sector two, and we'll see if he's gained any more time. And he's just about up, just under half a tenth up on his time. So he's got a fantastic sector three here to be challenging Object Fungus, assuming he doesn't go any quicker. But he's on this double left hander now, and loses the back end ever so slightly. I think that's his chance to hold on.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Still valid, but
yeah, I was going to say, as we're going around the final corner, we'll have to see then if that little wobble has cost him pole position, crossing the line. And TJ, you were right. 4 thousandths the difference and between him and Object Fungus. And Lives then goes with a 23.350. So 12 hundredths behind Jensen then for P3 now. Henker's invalidating his final effort. Bawley then did get that second push lap in. Don't think he's going to improve, unfortunately for him. Stays P6 for now. Johnny Vane's 3/10 up though and can steal P4 from Henkers then. Tiddlewink is coming through as well in sector 3. Gets very much out of shape though. But what can Mac User then do on his provisional effort? 23.3 as well then. What an absolute...
Oh no!
That is unbelievably close. What's happened there, TJ?
Object Fungus was going quick. He was about a tenth and a half up, and Groundy's just sat on the racing line around the second to last corner, ruined his lap, and Object Fungus is letting Groundy know what's happened here. The Mercedes driver is not happy in the slightest.
Well, he's just got...
And he picked himself a grid place penalty.
Yeah, he's just got a 5-place grid penalty then for illegal blocking. As you said, making it known what the problem was there, TJ. But Object Fungus then, who despite being blocked in his final flying run, still gets the fastest time, but then gets a 5-place penalty.
Yeah. I can understand why Object Fungus is a bit pissed off about one. You know, he wanted to show his pace and show it wasn't as close as it was, and he was definitely flying. I know that we'll see that go to the stewards, but there's nothing we can do about that 5 grid place penalty he's got, and yeah, Object Fungus starts P5.
Yeah, we might think about restarting the lobby. I think that's a bit unfair, that 5-place grid penalty. We'll quickly debate it in a second. Object Fungus, as we mentioned, then potentially provisionally on pole. Jensen P2. Look how close that was between the top 4, nonetheless, separated by less than half a tenth of a second. Junivane then P5, Henkers P6, Bawley P7, Prem and Tiddlewink and the Williams 8 and 9, then, and Grounds, as you mentioned, who impeded Object on that final flying run. He would have extended his advantage even more, but into P10 for Groundsy. We're going to take a quick break as we quickly decide what to do about the situation so far. So we'll be back very shortly then with the race. Hello everyone, we are back after a brief break then to restart the lobby following a couple of penalties that occurred in the race. As qualifying, I should say, Object Fungus then has been restored back to the front of the grid after his mighty pole position. I think he'll be very glad about that one. You might be able to see on the left hand side as well, Tiddlewink then in the offset has been given a 10 place grid penalty. That was for breaking in front of Jordan and taking him out in Q1 then, so he won't serve any penalties in later races. And yeah, 10 place grid penalty from his P9 position in Q3, and that's promoted everybody else up 1 place then. Thanks to the very helpful Frosted Cheese, the drivers had about 2 seconds to select their setups and tyres. Well, there are the tyres then. And everyone on the mediums apart from Prem, Midfield, Jock, Revenge, Zilla and Jordanaki. Well done to you guys who managed to change from the mediums in the blink of an eye. And TJ, I mean, I hope everyone else has got their setups on, but it's not an ideal start, is it?
No, it's not. We've had a really good qualifying, and yeah, we've potentially got drivers on the grid who haven't got setups on. I know Lexus is one of the guys I've seen in Discord. He's saying he hasn't managed to get set up on, which is an absolute massive shame. But saying that, we know the default setups can be pretty decent. Obviously, that they don't give the pace that some of these guys perhaps want from the setup. But yeah, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, definitely then. And well, we were in the unique position, TJ, we were restarting the lobby after qualifying, so we were able to apply that penalty to Tiddlewing post-race. Do you think it's better for him now? Obviously, he can just focus on the race and not have anything in future races.
Yeah, definitely. Which is say you won't. If something gets submitted about that particular incident, nothing will be done for it. Obviously, we don't condone people brake checking, and the penalty's been given to hopefully teach Tiddlewink and all drivers that we don't condone it.
Yeah, definitely then. So the entire field in a Mercedes sandwich then. Object Fungus at the front, Shadows now bringing up the rear then. Jensen's Red Bull pointed very much then towards the left-hand side of the screen. It is 5 red lights here in Abu Dhabi. And it's lights out and away they go. Then looks like the Alpine in the background has got a great start and looking to make a move up the inside. But it's Mag User then down into turn 1 up the inside of Object Fungus. Gets the move done into P2. Fungus with a better traction on the exit. There's an Aston Martin round though, TJ, in the background. And Henkers just cannot catch a break.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. He just went flying across the track. I'm assuming he either got touched or the back end went on him and he got hit by someone. But what a shame for Henkers that is. And the Aston Martin team, that's really damaging to their Constructors' Championship.
Aston Martin were leading the way then in the Constructors, but now with only 1 car left will surely be caught by a few behind them. Object Fungus still leads this race after the first sector then. He'll be glad about that when it looked like Magusa was going to get the jump, but he's had to settle for P2. This gaggle of cars already a couple of seconds ahead of P4 as the virtual safety car then goes back in, and we are back underway. Then the top 3, as I mentioned, have broken away here halfway around the first lap. And we'll see, as you can see on the left hand side of your screen, those drivers that got the best of starts. Then Revengezilla, Frosted Cheese up 4 and 5 respectfully, Groundsy up 4 as well, TJ. So some good performances there. Diamond Douche also into PA up 5. So yeah, some people starting really well, and I think a lot of people benefiting then from the unfortunate accident for the Aston Martin.
Yeah, definitely. The Diamond had a fantastic start as Midfield Maestro dropped it coming out. Oh, Midfield Maestro dropped it coming to the second last corner, and Shadows just collected him on the way round. That's an absolute shame for the 2 drivers there. Ashdown was just unfortunate, I think, there and as a passenger. As the other Ferraris had to spin at turn 1 now.
Yeah, Seneco, unfortunately, spinning around. And the Ferrari gets back on his way. Seneco not having the easiest time in Division 1 at the moment. There's a Red Bull as well ahead, and it's Bally then who's backwards through the S's Bully down 10 now into 17th. What a shame. He was having such a good event here in Div 1. But unfortunately then, right to the back, another virtual safety car we should mention as well. No full safety car just yet, unfortunately, for these two guys at the back of the field. But up in front then, the leaders, TJ, still separated by less than a second.
Yeah, it's fantastic between the leaders currently, and it's an absolute shame that we've seen drivers go around already. As Snares has a moment and absolutely rear ends Lexus under the VSC, and that'll come to the stewards for definite. As Diamond receives a driver penalty for speeding under the VSC now.
Yeah, the Delta then not playing into Diamond Dushi's hands at all. He's straight into the pits to serve it, then getting it out the way. Big shame there for Diamond Dushi's. I know he's had a bit of misfortune in some other league races as well recently, so it's not getting any easier then for the Alpine driver in TTL. Straight through the pit lane. Out in front though, and Jensen's now just falling slightly off the back of the two leaders, who are still within that second of one another. The DRS window does not get reset under a virtual safety car, so of course now Mag User is able to get the DRS against Object Fungus now down the main straight. Not quite close enough though to make a move, as the two at the back, Bully and Seneca, both into the pits.
Yeah, absolutely shame the two at the back. Revenge Sales just had a sniff at Prem coming through the back end of DRS1. If he gets to an exit, I should humiliate through DRS2. As I think Maggie's, there's a battle for the leader. Maggie's went deep, going for the switchback, and both drivers are going to be pretty much side by side coming through to sector 3. Maggie's has to back out, thinks better off it.
Yeah, Mag User then looks like he was going to take the lead from Object Fungus, but sits contentedly behind at the moment. Though gets very, very hot on the traction, almost loses the rear. Fortunately there though, Mag User able to catch the Haas before spinning round, and will continue on then in P2. Johnny Vane waits patiently in the background. Meanwhile, further down the field, Lives then, who lost 3 on that start, was in good form in qualifying, now all over the back of Brownsy, trying to get back into the top 5, and as you mentioned, TJ, Revengezilla on those hard tyres on the back end of Prem in the Williams now.
Yep, I imagine that Revengezilla's just going to try pressure Prem into a mistake. He has just lost some time there coming through sector 1, but with DRS again, he'll no doubt pull himself back into it. He just needs to bear traction out the corners really. It looks like Livs is going to try and make a move on Groundsy on the DRS. Both drivers go wide. Liv sticks with it and gets the move done before the braking zone.
Yeah, good move there from Livs, as Revengezilla has a sniff at Prem then into the same corner. Not quite able to get past just yet though. So we'll go back towards the front then. Mag User once again in the DRS of the Mercedes with TJ, but he is showing that he can under pressure, as he nearly loses it once again twice on the same corner. Jensen nearly smacks into the back of the Haas, somehow avoids it, but Mag User in the traction zone just hasn't got that Haas under control at all.
No, as he almost loses again, and I'm beginning to wonder if he's got, 1, a settle upon, and 2, if he has got a settle upon, as he got his tyre temps wrong, as grounded the moment and spun it coming through the double left-handers, and has dropped down to P9.
Groundsy, who was running then in the top 5 in the opening phases of this race, now down to 9th, then having been passed by Livs, and then having a moment towards the end of the lap. Nightmare for the Alfa Romeo boys, and Lexus now is doing donuts through Latifi corner, has got on his way then. So 3 drivers now begging for a safety car here, yet to come their way though. We're nearly a 5th through this race as Lexus into the pits. Oh no, decided to come back out. Oh. What is he doing?
Okay. Oh
no, he's back in. He is back in. He is into the pits. I don't know what happened there. And he is going to retire from that. That's what I thought he was going to do, but no, I'm not too sure what happened there. Meanwhile, Jordan Aki is being passed in by Tiddlewink. Well, we know these two have history. When Jordan Aki is behind Tiddlewink, as I mentioned, Tiddlewink serving a 10th place grid penalty for this race after an incident in qualifying, and he's quickly past Jordan Aki then onto the tail end of the points once more, as there's another yellow flag out for Lexus's car rejoining the track, as Frosted Cheese running very far wide there at the start of Sector 3. Now, Prem is on the back of Revengula. He has been passed by Revengula. Both drivers on the hard tyres, and Revengula up 8 places at the moment into the top 6, TJ. And we've probably had enough of looking at what everyone has done so far since the start. Let's look at the tyres then. And he's now the highest of the hard tyre runners. What is he hoping for, TJ? A safety car later on, or is he going to try and push for the softs, do you think? What can he do from here?
I think he is going to hope for a safety car, but only after the medium runners come in. He wants something that benefits him. So if an early safety car comes out, I don't think he'll get much of a benefit, and it'll benefit the guys on the medium tyres currently. So he needs to hope for a safety car, I don't know, say lap 16, 17 maybe. Perhaps put the mediums on, or if it's longer, have a look at, what you should say, perhaps doing a soft one, but then will the soft tyres make it to the end? I don't know the tyre diggers around here, but soft tyres aren't exactly the best on this game.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, maybe with a safety car, that might become an option for him. But as you said, I don't think it will be an option without 1 or 2 appearances from the safety car. As Midfield Maestro leaves us, having had his incident with Shadows, who also left, as you saw, both drivers out of the opening phases of this race. Big shame for both of them. Midfield Maestro on his Ferrari debut, and Shadows can't catch a break in Division 1. At the moment, looks like Matthews has got his act together. Now he's half a second behind Jensen. Looks like those opening nerves have gone away for the Haas driver. And he definitely must have a setup on, because he is still flying and was able to close up to the Red Bull with ease. The question is, how quickly can he get past the Red Bull now? And you imagine with the pace advantage he currently has so far, as we're about to hit the quarter distance of this race, Matthews should be passed in no time with DRS assistance.
Yeah, you imagine so, but he hasn't really. I mean, he wasn't really closing. He's closed about 2 attempts there, and I'm not sure whether it's something wrong with the way the spectator view is. Every time Maguire goes into a heavy braking zone, it just looks like and sounds like he locks all his brakes up and just feels like he's sliding into the corner. I'm not sure whether he's generally doing that or whether it's just a little spectator thing that doesn't display it correctly.
Yeah, probably. No, in this game. No doubt. As Tiddlewink has claimed another victim, he's up to P11 then in his Williams now, just 1 position off getting a sole point. At the moment, Matthews are still in P3 behind Jensen, and Johnny Vane can't quite find the pace to get amongst the fight for the podium positions at the moment. Jensen a bit squirmy there off the final corner, but keeps his Red Bull pointing in the right direction. Then Prem looks to be tagging along with Revengezilla here. Now, you'd have to say, on paper really, TJ, Revengezilla probably does have a bit more pace than Prem, and that's probably shown by the fact he has managed to get past him and stay ahead. But Prem's being clever here. He's keeping within the DRS of Revengezilla. That's his best play at the moment. I know Jock's there as well now, so the hard tyre runners almost in a mini DRS train here, just following Revengezilla, trying to keep up with these medium tyre runners.
Yeah, it's his best play currently out. For these 2 drivers, if they work together as such and keep playing it clever, they will benefit in the long term in this race, and especially as a later safety car. And if you keep throwing each other along, as these medium tyres start to wear off, these guys will start getting quicker. As Maguire takes the place off Jensen now. But yeah, the play from Jock and Prem is keep status quo, I'd say, and not fight each other.
Yeah, definitely. Both those drivers running, as I mentioned, about half a second from one another as it stands. Towards the back of the field, Jordan Aki and Diamond Dushtan in a 3-way fight here for P12. Tiddlewink getting involved amongst this as well, so he must have had an incident somewhere, because he's fallen right back and is in this fight now as well with Sniz, who's currently retaken P11. A 4-way fight here for this 11th place. Diamond really not quite at his best here this evening. He's Always got pace with pushing the top 5 as Tiddlewink very, very nearly puts that Williams into the wall. Jordan Aki behind him once again. We're going to keep making the joke about it, of course. It'd be rude not to. It'd be rude not to make the most of the situation. As time douches in all over the rear diffuser of Sniz at the moment, though. But up in front, Jensen then in the Red Bull looks like he's having a sniff at getting that second place back. But what's more interesting here, TJ, is Object Fungus. Although he's saving a bit of battery, he's not getting very clear here. And in fact, he's had a moment through the left right there and lost about a second then to Mag User. It doesn't look like, whether he's just saving the tyres here, TJ, or perhaps saving the battery, that he has a massive pace advantage over those in second and third.
No, I don't think he does. As Junu Vane's at the moment and dropped it coming through the new part in Sector 3 for the long left hander, and he's going to be joined onto the track in front of this battle, in front of Revengezilla, moves up the way, but I do wonder if that impeded Revengezilla slightly as he rejoins behind the AlphaTauri driver, but in front of the Williams driver, Prem.
Now, somehow, a massive four-way fight for P5 has resulted in Junu Vane being backwards and somehow finding a gap to slot into. I think he might have just got away with that one. So damage limitation from the McLaren there back into P6. So a fantastic fight at the moment headed by Revengezilla. And out in front once again, the driver's now only separated by about a second and a half here then. So Object Fungus isn't running away in that Mercedes, but Mag User and Jensen might be about to squabble, which could cost them both time in the pursuit of the leader. And Mag User holds his own at the moment in P2. Then Jensen back on the pedal, back on the gas, back on the throttle, trying to get the better traction over the Haas driver around the outside. Looks like he might get it done before the braking zone, and does then. That second DRS zone proving a very popular overtaking place so far, TJ, but Jensen gets a little bit squirmish on the exit of that long left-hander, but does just hold on then to P2 as Junu Vane fighting Revengezilla around the same corner. Now it looked like Junu Vane was going to go round again at the same place, and that's invited the AlphaTauri back ahead.
Yeah, once again, DRS zone to Junu Vane, try to get moved a bit on the inside of Revengezilla this time. Zilla at the outside, and obviously it looks like being on the outside gives you the better advantage there, as Frosty Keys at the moment coming through the bit where Junu Vane dropped it a couple of laps ago, so he's become a victim in that particular corner now.
Yeah, looks like we might have a three-way fight for the lead here if we have everything crossed, TJ. Doesn't look like it's going to be the dominance that we might have thought it would be. Then still the top three separated by 2.5 seconds. Junu Vane is still on the back of Revengezilla along with Prem, Jock and Groundsy now at the back of this train. Then at what point do these medium tyres, TJ, start to feel a little bit shoddy compared to those hard tyre runners? And in fact, we'll see the pace of Revengezilla and Prem and Jock start to overpower those on the mediums.
I just want to comment on that. Junu Vane just made a move on to Revengezilla. Goes a bit deep on the brakes coming out of DRS zone 1. Perhaps cuts Revengezilla off a little bit there, but Zilla's going to get DRS down to the Sector 3, but it's a bit too far behind. So a bit of a late move from Junu Vane there, relying on his brakes to work from, which pays off. But yeah, the medium runners, I think any time from now, perhaps to lap 14, 15 maybe. I think even pushing out it might be a little bit too long on the mediums. I think if you want to try and get the benefit of the hard tyres, they perhaps won't start looking coming in for the next couple of laps, especially to get warmed up, because Junu Vane has a moment coming through Sector 3. Adventures all over the back of him and gets the move done to the final corner.
Yeah, this is probably what Revengezilla didn't want. He probably didn't want Junu Vane to have his moment, because he's now surely losing time fighting the McLaren here, but I mean, he's got no choice. He is quicker at the moment, you would say, in normal conditions without the DRS assistance. But Revengezilla now 8.5 seconds back off Livs then in P4 as Tiddlewink and Sniz then both pitting. Tiddlewink and Sniz starting on the medium tyres, and will surely now put the hard compound tyre on, hopefully until the end of the race for them. this five-way fight getting very tasty here. For 5th place, Johnny Vane looking to get the move done again into the braking zone up the inside. Eventually leaves him plenty of room. Where is the McLaren? All this, there we go. Oh, and the McLaren is round then. And Johnny Vane has already been round once this evening, is round again, TJ.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you got contact from behind the web. The V just went on, but that's really unfortunate for the McLaren driver, who's now in P9 and nearly 9 seconds behind the pack that he was battling for. Just he might have damage as he tried to round and smack the rear into the wall. So don't know if that's going to impede him any at all here.
No, not ideal then, as we do have a leader into the pits, and I saw just in the background, it looked like Groundsy's car then was heading straight for the wall. Somehow kept it out of the wall. He is in the pits now for a new set of tyres. I have no idea how that Alfa Romeo carried on. But the leader that is in then, Object Fungus, bites first and is into the pits for his new set of the hard tyres.
Yeah, I think that's clever from Object, that is. He's always going to take the pain while he tries to get these hard tyres up to temperature. And, he's going to need at least a lap to get him up to the running zone, and then they don't really come into play for another 3-4 laps after that. But he's going to take the pain now and be quick as the current leaders come in. And yeah, I don't think the overcut works while around there. You've got to get the undercut. You've got to get the undercut done.
Yeah, well, he's come out just behind this battling pack then for P5 as Revengula holds off from Prem, who was looking up the inside, and that's invited Jock now to have a look at the Williams, but will Williams now have another look at the AlphaTauri ahead? He's going to have to hang it around the outside if he wants to take that 4th place from Revengilla. Doesn't like he'll do it on that occasion. Can he stick behind him through Sector 3? You'd probably say that's the best overtaking opportunity, however, until the end of the lap. And they carry on then, as both then Jensen and Mag User into the pit. This is going to be very interesting as Livs carries on.
Yep, Object Fungus coming down the final set of corners now, as both drivers are only really just coming out, and I do think Object Fungus is going to get the jump on here as expected, even with them cold tyres. He's coming through turn 1 now as the leaders come under the tunnel. And yeah, he's going to come out perhaps with a big advantage he had than when he went in.
Yeah, Object Fungus then has got the gap up to about 2 seconds, and of course his hard tyres will be slightly warmer than that of both Jensen and Mag User. So coming in a lap earlier, very much playing off for the Mercedes man. And just as we said that, Mag User's teammate Frosted Cheese was around in Sector 3, but has continued on for Haas then. So we have a new leader in Livs who hasn't pitted just yet, and now, now more than ever, TJ, we mentioned that these three squabbling over this position now, which is P2, is hurting them, but this is just going to allow those drivers behind to just cruise up to the back of them now.
Yeah, it says that they were working so nice together, 5-6 laps ago, but yeah, Prem wants to get them moved on Revengilla and get ahead of him perhaps before the pit stops, and it's just impeding them, as you say. Revengilla now 10 seconds behind Livs, as Livs decides he wants to pit and come onto the hard tyres. But yeah, so Revengilla takes the lead of the race, but we know that with Object Fungus very close behind this pack, that he is that lead won't last for long, and this is where the safety car, if there is going to be one, needs to come out for the likes of Revengilla, Jock and Prem, who will massively benefit from it.
Yeah, definitely then. Livs rejoining then, just ahead of Johnny Vane, who was yet to stop in the McLaren then, the only driver now on the medium compound of tyres as things stand. And as you mentioned, Revengilla then has taken the race lead for now, but the top 3 still needing to pit, so Object Fungus is still the net race leader. And you would imagine here, TJ, in fact, the worst thing that could happen here, as the Alpine of Jock is round into the wall. That didn't look like it was quick enough to DNF, to be honest. Seneco gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring a blue flag. No safety car for that Alpine there, TJ, which is surprising, which is definitely what these two leaders would have wanted.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised that Jock's DNF there. It looked like the softest of touches. But the game physics keep delivering. And yeah, Sinetko picking that 5 second time penalty up for annoying blue flags. He's been waving all lap, and he's refusing to get out the way of Object Fungus. Although he is out the way now, but he's got Jensen behind him. And yeah, you know, I know I'd say Sinetko's trying to battle it for something here, but he's 25 seconds behind Bowley, and I think you just got to get out the way of the leaders at some point. There's plenty of space on the track to do so. As Object Fungus takes P2, and yeah, as expected, he's charging down. It's only a matter of time now before he gets moved on in Revengezilla.
Yeah, definitely then. And Object Fungus now looking to retake the lead before the leaders even come into the pits then. I was going to say before Jock was around actually that this might play into the hands of Jensen and Maggies in their quest to try and close the gap to Object Fungus, but it doesn't look like then that they are going to benefit too much as Object Fungus finding it easy, it seems, to breeze past those ahead of him. Jensen though getting the hurry up on those hard tyres. Maggies, it should be said, so far this season has shown impressive pace when it comes to the hard tyres, and well, don't count him out just yet. He is over a second back from Magusa at the moment, so not quite in DRS, but there is still 13 laps to go. Revengezilla will take us on to lap 17 then, and he carries on once again. How long until you think these drivers on the hards think about doing something different and think about perhaps coming in for the softs at the end?
I think if they're going for softs, I think they've got to look at about lap 21, 22. I can't see that the hard tyres doing more than 8 laps, to be honest. If they come in for mediums, I think anytime now there's a perfect chance to go on the mediums. So it depends how bad the tyre wear is on these hard tyres and how much they're hoping for a safety car, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely then. As Object Fungus is going to breeze back into the lead of the race then. It's round 6 race of Division 1 at Abu Dhabi. The story so far really has been that Object Fungus, Jensen and Magusa have been leading the way for most of the race. As you can see, Revengezilla, Prem, Johnny Vane all still need to stop out of those in the top 7, as Magusa now gets past Prem as well. An unfortunate incident for Jock, who was running well on the top end of the points, sees him retire from the race. Lexus, who also span around earlier on, midfield Maestro and Shadows having a moment at the start of the race, and Henker's then out pretty much off the line, unfortunately for him, as we do see then the AlphaTauri of Revengezilla finally into the pits, TJ, and as you mentioned, surely for the medium tyres.
Yeah, it's got to be this punch in Magusa to take the fastest lap of this race, and as you mentioned, Biddle, that Magusa is absolutely enjoying these hard tyres. He looks really comfortable on, more comfortable than he was when he was on the medium tyres. And he was with the gearbox of Jensen, who seems to have got the better traction through sector 1. But these top 3, once again, so close to each other.
Yeah, somehow after a sprinkling of cars between themselves, they are once again only a second and a half between each other on track. It's been a fantastic race on battle so far, 18 laps in, and there isn't much to separate them at the moment. But it looks like once again it's going to be Magusa squabbling with Jensen then, which might allow Object Fungus to get a bit of daylight between himself and these two. Magusa once again looking perhaps to have a move on the inside of the Red Bull. Has to stick behind for now, but has definitely found some pace in on these hard tyres. After that pit stop, TJ, should be said, Revengezilla has come out P5 on a fresh set of mediums, though he is 15 seconds now at the back of Lives in P4.
Yeah, the battling that we've been talking about has really hurt Revengezilla here. However, he has built the gap up back to Prem, and Prem's only 3 seconds behind now, but he has got the Alfa Romeo Groundsy behind him. who he knows got decent pace and on hard tyres that are probably just coming into live roundabout now. Imagine him sticking a DRS revenge there. He'll be definitely challenging for that P5.
Most definitely an adventure. Now, with 11 laps to go, how much can he plug that gap to Lives? Is the question as Paulie becomes the latest driver to get a corner cutting infringement. Mag user there. Looks like over the last lap or so has just started to struggle. In fact, once again with the traction on that Haas, the back end stepping out from a couple of times, and the gap now is back at the 1 second mark between him and Jensen, perhaps just outside DRS here.
Yeah, definitely. As you spoke about it previously, that Object Fungus just hasn't got the pace to pull away from these guys. In previous races, we've seen him really comfortable with his DRS 100% and just cruising round, whereas DRS levels at 13% and just shows how much he's needing to push just to keep ahead of these guys and rolling each other's DRS now. And one mistake from one of these three could be really costly at this point.
Yeah, it is lovely to see. As I'll keep mentioning, Object Fungus usually is pretty much unchallenged in league races that I know he's involved in anyway, but it's nice to see him have some competition here then from Jensen and Mag User. Further back down the grid then, Revengula has got the gap down to 13.5 between himself and Liv, so that might become a fight at the end of the race, depending just how much those medium tyres drop off. And he takes the fastest lap doing so as well. Then a 1:26.0 from him. He's doing a decent drive at the moment, considering he didn't have the highest starting position in the world after his disqualification in Q2. But apart from that, TJ, not a lot of action going on throughout the field at the moment, and dare I say it, a little safety car right about now might be just what this race needs to spice it back up again.
Yeah, I think I agree. But obviously, we don't want to see one. But yeah, to get past it back to the safety car would be nice on the roundabout now. I've been keeping my eye on Livs. He's obviously at 13 seconds ahead of Revenge Zilla. And he was running 3.3 behind the leaders who just pulled away in DRS. But he's maintaining a good lap here. And if any of his front three pick up a corner cut penalty, he could be in for a sniff of a podium here.
Yep, definitely. 3.5 seconds the gap between Mag User and Livs at the moment. Mag User in P3. But once again, the three drivers out in front, separated by just a second. Object Fungus really is not enjoying these hard tyres. He held a very, very slight advantage on the mediums, but on the hards is just unable to get the gap up really between himself and the two behind. Jensen back in DRS, and dare you say perhaps will look to have a move down these next couple of straights. Mag User will have the DRS as well then, so it really is Object Fungus who's the sitting duck here in the Mercedes. Not enough from Jensen to have a look at Object Fungus just there, but now out of the traction zone. Will Object pull it? He's pulled a bit clear. He looks like he has got a little bit more life perhaps in those tyres, perhaps just looking after them a little bit better than the Red Bull behind, and Jensen once again just unable to make a challenge for the lead.
Yeah, Object Funk's got fantastic traction coming out of the major zones in DRS. Janssen and Maggie just really close up through sector 3, so I think Object Fungus has got a bit more of a straight line speed setup would be enough to keep himself ahead with the 50 sector 3. But yeah, this is going to get on so wide between these three. If Janssen and Maggie can sort out the DRS troubles, Object Fungus could really suffer here.
Yeah, absolutely. Mag User then, as we should say, the championship lead then, currently in P3 at the moment. He will extend his championship lead should he finish in P3 in this race, so it's not all over just yet for the Haas. If he finishes P3, it would still very much put a bit of points between himself and P2 in the championship. Currently that is Livs, who's in P4. We have got an Alfa Romeo around, and dare I say it's Groundsy then who's dropped it at turn 1. Looked like he was on for a strong recovery after an incident at the start of this race. But back down to P8 now in the Alfa Romeo. But here we go. Once again between the front three then. It's Object Fungus still leading the way, and the two behind have the DRS, but they just can't get close enough, TJ. What is Object doing here that is keeping these two behind? Because they've all got roughly the same battery level, so they're pretty much using the same deployment, but somehow, even with that drag reduction system, Object is just still sat at the front of this mini train.
Yeah, Object Fungus just had a moment there and almost lost it in Tiffy's wall. I generally do think that Object Fungus has got the better traction and straight line speed, which is why the guys behind him can't touch you in the DRS zones. If you sector 3, Object Fungus is really suffering, as is mentioned. The moment we just saw him drop into the wall there.
Yeah, Object Fungus then seems like that Mercedes is set up to be an absolute bullet in a straight line. Perhaps, as you mentioned, just struggling ever so slightly then in sector 3, but he is able, with that straight line speed, to stay ahead of the Red Bull and the Haas behind at the moment, and they'll come around once again, the third lap in a row that all three drivers have been separated by less than a second. Jensen looks a bit closer this time around, though, down into the brake until he can get some good traction here. In fact, he touches the rear of Object Fungus, and I think that has put him off, and that's invited Magus and them behind now potentially to have a look at the Red Bull. Surely they're not going to go 3 wide here, and it is going to be Jensen who tries to hold it around the outside. Magus are having a sniff. Oh my god, they've somehow not come together. No idea, but how on earth the three of them didn't collide. Magus is round the outside once again, but they still run in the same order. 1, 2 and 3, Object, Jensen, Maguser.
That's unbelievable, ladders. If Jensen had obviously touched the back of Object there, he would have cleared the leader. But the fact the three gents were racing so close, side by side through sector 3, and no one's dropped it or got damage here, just shows how much of a lead these top 3 are. But all this is doing as well is Livs has pulled himself into this battle 2 seconds behind the leaders now. So the leading 3 really need to sort it out and get their act together, otherwise Livs will be joining this battle.
Yeah, most definitely. Then 2 seconds, as you mentioned, the gap now between Maguser and Livs. Then 6 to go, 5.5 pretty much now of this race. There's very, very few races, TJ, I've watched league racing that I'd want to see 100% race of, but this is definitely one of them. Unbelievable fighting between everybody on the podium at the moment. You can't take your eyes away, and once again they're gonna come down to the hairpin and the left-hander, the long looping left-hander that Jensen was last lap up the inside of Object Fungus. This time around settles back in behind though, and they will run 1, 2 and 3 again, but it really is anyone's race between the top 3 at the moment.
Yeah, it is. I imagine Jensen's going to sit back a little bit, perhaps pull the tyres down, try force Object into mistake again, and we'll see him try pushes. Object is trying to recover some ERS to help him defend against the Red Bull and the Haas driver. So this, as you say, is going to be a interesting last 4 laps, especially if Livs can pull along and get into this battle as well.
Yeah, Livs now has got the gap down to 1.8 with 5 to go. Then all he needs to do is get within that second, and he'll also get the benefit of the DRS. And Livs not quite carrying just as much battery as those ahead. Magusa looks like he's got a bit of decent traction this time around. He's tagging onto the back of the Red Bull once again, but still with that Red Bull getting the tow from the Mercedes ahead. Magusa unable to challenge then, but this time around it looks like again Jensen, did he just tap the back of Magusa, not Magusa, sorry, Object Fungus, as Magusa then takes P2, TJ.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he tapped the back of Object, and that gave Magusa the advantage coming out of 6 or 7 there. But yeah, Magusa now in P2 running behind Object Fungus. I thought Maggie might have tried a cheeky little send on Object Fungus, but fought against it. And yeah, this battle just keeps evolving as both the top two have got similar ERS levels. Jensen's the one that's missed out here as they're coming up behind a slow-moving Borley.
Yeah, Bally the back marker now, after what looked like to be a promising Division 1 race, hasn't quite transpired for the second Red Bull on the grid tonight. Bally is about to get in the way of this fight. Whether he can do his teammate any favours or not remains another question here. His teammate at the back of this train, but all he's going to do is give Object Fungus DRS here, and it's a bit of a shame for those behind. Once again, Bally adamant not to go. I can't see the blue flags being waved there. Oh, they are. There they are.
No, I can't, but Maggie's is going to go for a move. Maggie's has got the advantage. Oh! Wheel banging down into the corner. Maggie's outbreaks Object Fungus and takes the lead of the race.
That is unbelievable then. And will Object Fungus now look to come back at the house with the DRS? He comes up the inside. Magusa will squeeze him all he can. And Object Fungus retakes the lead then from Magusa. Magusa making the most of Bally, who didn't move out the way then. Magusa very, very close to putting it in the wall, but manages to catch the Haas for just about the millionth time today. And they're back in the same order they were on the previous lap. Object Fungus, Jensen, Magusa. Somehow Magusa has gone from leading to being P3. This fight is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it says. I do feel that Bally impeded Object Fungus there a little bit coming through turns 4 and 5, which is why Maggie's got the move done, but fantastic Object to fight back again. I imagine we're going to see perhaps a lap of cooling down and trying to close that gap back up between them. But as mentioned, Biddle, Livs has come onto the back of this battle in the DRS of Magusa. And what can Livs do to really spice this up now?
Well, it's not quite the five-way fight we had at Portimao, but we've had much more action in this what is now a four-way fight for the win here under the lights in Abu Dhabi. Object Fungus still leading the way. Jensen again getting very, very close to the back of that Mercedes. He might be better off served, TV, just taking a bit of a slower approach through that corner, putting a little power on the exit, because he gets too close to the Mercedes, ends up having to brake mid-corner.
Yeah, it's really affecting his exit in that corner. As you say, if you can get a clean exit, you'll get the move done on Object. But he just keeps repeating the same move every lap, and it's just not benefiting. As Magus has now closed that gap back up again, and it's let into second between the top three, 1.6 between the top four. 2 laps to go. This could be really interesting.
Yep, Object Fungus leads us on to lap 28 then, and as TJ said, it is now a four-way fight. Livs is still very much there, and through all this, the three that have been out in front, Object Fungus, Jensen and Magusa, the entire race, one of them might not end up on the podium. Hell, maybe 2 of them won't if they end up having to come in together. But once again, they will follow each other down the first of the DRS straights. Is that Mercedes still got this straight line speed advantage over the Red Bull? Absolutely unbelievable. Jensen looks like he might be lining up a move here though. Object pulls to the inside to defend. Will Jensen heed our advice? Once again tapping the rear of the Mercedes, and they've had a bit more contact. This is going to invite Magusa then to look to try and make the most of that opportunity. Magusa into P2. Will he get the lead here around the outside of the Mercedes? And he does then. Magusa into the lead. Jensen into the back of Object. They all carry on racing, but Magusa making the most of it, and with 1 to go, takes the lead of the race.
There was a second separating the top 4 here. That's how intense it is. One mistake from any of these boys and they've lost the podium at this point. Magusa's got an absolute enormous task ahead of him on this final lap to keep that hungry Mercedes behind him and the Red Bull of Jensen.
I have never, I've commentated on many league races now, and this has got to be. I've never gone into a final lap not knowing who is really going to win a race. None of them have an advantage over the other here. But Mag User has one major disadvantage, and that is that he won't have the DRS down the first straight at least. And will that invite then Mag User to have a look? I should say the Mercedes to have a look at Mag User then, who tries to break the toe at the start of the straight. Object Fungus though does have more straight line speed. Looking to get it done at the end of the first one. Lives outbreaks himself completely. Nearly goes into the back of the two leaders. Mag User with the better traction keeps the lead for now. Will that invite Jensen to have a look at Object Fungus? The four of them down into the
Lives
corner.
is going for a move.
Lives is looking to get on the podium. Object's run out of battery. What is going on? This is unbelievable.
Lives is still hanging it. Oh.
This is absolutely incredible. Is Mag User then somehow, with 2 to go, taken the lead here and taken the win away from Object Fungus, who led from start to finish and is round? Object Fungus is backwards. Lives is into P3. Is it going to be P2 at the inside of Jensen? No. Mag User's left out the final corner. It's Jensen. Oh my word.
Oh my god.
Whoa. Jesus Christ. What has happened there?
That is unbelievable.
Oh my god. I think
Mag User.
I've put me back
Mag
out.
User will not believe what has just happened there.
That is absolutely unbelievable. I haven't even realised what's gone on with the rest of the grid. Jensen wins the race. Mag User P2, Lives P3, Object Fungus P4, Avengula in P5 for AlphaTauri then, Prem P6, Diamond in P7, Johnny Vane, Tiddlewink and Groundsy rounding off the top 10. I'm going to get my breath back, TJ. That was absolutely unbelievable. The final 5 laps there was, wow, that's nothing like I've ever commentated on before in my life.
Yeah, this is, as you said, this is by far the craziest and best race of comments I've never gone to find a lot, not knowing he was going to win it. And for someone to win it off the final corner, I mean, yeah, massive respect to the top 3 there, and for Liv for sticking his health and games up on the podium in the end.
Absolutely then, and here is your podium. I have no idea how they ended up in this order. That completely flashed before my eyes. But it is the Red Bull that takes the win today. It is Jensen then in his first, I'm pretty sure it's his first race. I don't think he raced last week. I might be completely wrong. My head is complete mush after that. Jensen wins his, I know he wins his first TTR race. That's what I definitely know. Absolutely unbelievable from him. Unbelievable from all of them. Any of them could have won that race. In fact, perhaps 3 of them definitely should have won that race, but there you go. What happens, happens. But it is Jensen who comes out on top. We've already been through the top 10. Let's carry on then before we wrap up the stream. Jordan Aki then, P11 for the Alfa Romeo. Shame for him not to grab a point after going the distance. Frosted Cheese on his first TTL appearance, P12 for the Haas. Sneers then retiring at the last corner on the last lap, finishes P13 for AlphaTauri, unable to match the points of his teammate then. Bawley on his Division 1 debut in TTL, had a strong qualifying but unable to get any points today for Red Bull. Sedetko finishing a lap down, but nice to see him finish once again. And then we go to the drivers that didn't finish the race. Jock, Lexus, Midfield Maestro, Shadows and Henkers. TJ, we've just had a very good question in the chat. Object Fungus says interviews. We don't usually do interviews here in TTL, but that finish to that race, I don't know if that requires an interview. I feel like we've got to.
I feel like we've got to.
We've
Yeah.
got to for that. For that race.
I know it's only top 3 as well, but I think we're gonna get Object in regardless. That it's.
I don't think Liv's been
Yeah.
joined for an interview. I don't think he has a mic. He's invited, but I don't think he's joined. But yeah, I'd love to hear from them after that. That was unbelievable. I've been taken to an F2 something. I'm trying to find the garage. Well, let's see if we can get them in then. Where am I looking? Oh, is it an F1 Life? There we go. I forgot. I have no idea. Oh, look at this. This has changed. It's nice.
Oh, yeah?
It's all changed. Let's get the Red Bull up. Right then, we have got Object Fungus in the party. We've got Jensen joining, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. As I said, we don't usually do interviews here at TTL, but after that we have to hear something from those drivers. That was probably the best race we're going to have this season, and I don't think it would be not doing them any justice to not give them an interview. We'll see if Livs joins us for one. I doubt he will be able to. So we can actually start off, TJ, with somehow the P4 man, Object Fungus. If you want to give him a quick interview, and obviously, I imagine pretty much just discuss the last part of that race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, Object Fungus. I still can't believe you finished P4 out of all that, mate. I mean, we won't talk about the race. You were controlling it, you were leading it. Just tell us about them final few laps and what we're going through your head.
Well, the final 4 laps. No, I mean, the whole race was just very, very hard for, I think, all of us, with 3 people. Of course, well, we were very, very close together the whole time. And yeah, I decided to go a bit different on the strategy by pitting a bit earlier. So I might have the advantage, but then, yeah, didn't have the best place to come out to really get an advantage out of the undercut. Was stuck behind some cars, especially some led cars. But well, yeah, but the battle was amazing. I just had no pace or no tire management whatsoever on the hards. My tires were absolutely dead the few last laps. I finished with 72% on the tires. And yeah, I was just not enjoying the last sector, although I thought I was running a bit more wing than usually. But well, seemed like I was just a bit faster in the straight, so they were probably running even more wing. But yeah, shout out to all of them. It was amazing. And I don't care that I finished P4 because the battle was so enjoyable that I could have finished last and still be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I speak for Bedley and a lot of people watching this stream today. I think that is generally the first race on F122 where we have seen competition for yourself and you've been pushed to the limit, and it was a fantastic watch from our point of view.
Yeah, indeed, it was very nice. It was a very nice race. Not my best track, to be fair, but I think no one actually likes this track because it's not very well done in the game. Quite bumpy. The flow is nice, but yeah, just not too enjoyable in my opinion. But still, a very amazing battle. Best battle I had would probably not be topped. Being within a second for nearly 29 laps. Yeah, that was just amazing. So enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, normally I'd be congratulating you, but very unlucky to finish P4. I mean, you definitely didn't deserve to do it, but a fantastic watch from our point of view. And yeah, it's been great for us to watch. So I'll hand over to Middleton to our P2 man.
Yeah, I have to remind myself who that was. Mag user. I think it was Mag user. Yeah, just the same really, Mag user. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that race. It was absolutely fantastic throughout the entire race. The front 3 of you. I know Livs came out of nowhere at the end with you all battling, but you were all together, you know, a second and a half, 2 seconds the entire race. But, you know, I mean, just give us a rundown of the last few laps there, and most crucially, I mean, what happened at that final corner where it looked like you were set for the win at the last minute?
I have no idea what happened at the end. I just hit the corner a bit too fast, a bit too much acceleration off the corner, and went a bit drifty sideways. But yeah, the race was amazing. GG's to the other guys, obviously. It's probably been the closest battle I've had in a while. I got an amazing start, so that kind of helped me get up the order a little bit. But yeah, it's just that bottle right at the end. But it was just, I think we were running a little bit less wing than Object. But yeah, it was just trying to keep with them through the twisty bits, and then trying to just hold as much energy as possible behind them too, and then try and send it off the second straight. But yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely brilliant to watch. I mean, I absolutely lost my lid at the end. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea who was going to win either. I mean, from us watching it, I mean, I can speak for myself and probably TJ and say that was probably one of the most exciting races I've ever watched, definitely on commentary. I mean, for you racing it, surely that must be up there, one of your best drives. I mean, despite the disappointing result.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even if I came third, or if I did the same as Object and drop it at the end, it was just a joy to battle with them too at the pace we were at. But yeah, it's nice being pushed to the limit every now and again.
Yeah, pardon the pun on that one. Well done. Well, I'll be free to use that one on the race review. But congratulations on P2. I know it wasn't quite what you wanted. It didn't look like it was what you were going to get either, but nonetheless, you still extend your championship lead, so well done for that one. I'll hand over to TJ then to get a quick rundown from our race winner, EULR, no, it's not EULR, is it? ETSR Jensen.
Yeah, thanks, Bidley. I mean, I don't know if you heard on the stream, Jensen, but you've been nicknamed as Jensen now, so I'll be referring to you as Jensen. I mean, same as the other guys, really. You know, we're not going to talk about the entire race, but the battle with the other two gents as well, and with Liz in the last few laps. I mean, one of the things we did notice was as you were coming through and now with terrible corners, but mainly the left-right in the middle of the DRS zones, it looked like you were getting fantastic traction, but kept bumping into the back of the Mercedes.
Yeah, first off, to do that point, yeah, it was very frustrating because it was probably one of my best sections of the track, and towards the end I was really getting it correct, especially with applying the traction, but Object, he was going quite slow out of it, so I was gonna, in fact on the next part of the chicane or the next lap, I was gonna try and ease off a bit and then get a really good exit, but then Livs came behind, and to be honest, I thought I was battling for P4 at one point, or P3, because it was, yeah, really intense. Nobody had any RS left. And yeah, I didn't really get my hopes up on the last few laps to try and go for the lead. I thought that was a bit out of the sights because Objects and Mag User seemed a bit quicker near the end, but it was just sort of keeping my head together where the other two unfortunately couldn't quite. And yeah, just trying to keep it between the two white lines and get it to the finish line, really. It was a brilliant race.
Now your eyes must have lit up as you're coming on that final corner just before the finish line, and you see that pass lose the back end and have a wobble. I mean, what were you thinking at that point?
It was just get the power down as soon as possible, get the last 4% of my ERS back on, and see if we can get him on the line. And it was, what, a tenth, 2 tenths or something? It was so close. I didn't think I was going to get him, but yeah, it was euphoric. I pretty much screamed out as soon as I crossed the line. I couldn't believe it. It's a shame I wasn't streaming. It was quite a loud shout, but yeah, so happy. Well done to the other guys as well. Wouldn't have been as fun of a race without them pushing me to the limit. So
yeah, and it's obviously a TTL debut as well, and a fantastic result. And obviously you've set us some high standards now, so we expect this every week, you know.
Well, I mean, I try to do it every week. In your partner league, EULR, it never sort of goes to plan usually, so this is quite a change. I normally get on the front row and finish P6 or something, so because Colborne is very quick in there, but if he ever sees this, he knows I'm back on it and I'm coming for him, so
that's great. And yeah, just echo what Bidlin always said, it's been a fantastic watch between you three, and it lives towards the end. And yeah, congratulations on your debut win.
Thank you, guys.
I'll hand back over to Bidley.
Yeah, definitely. Once again, well done all three of you. And as I said, any of you could have won that, and well done to Livs as well at the end there. Absolutely sensational driving, and thank you for giving us a fantastic race to watch. It's very rare that I come away from a race actually smiling about it, but that was a brilliant watch. So well done, all of you. But that's all we've got time for this evening. I hope you've enjoyed what we've enjoyed, and thank you for watching all the way through. That isn't all we've got to come from TTR this week. We have got then tomorrow night, Division 2 are going to give us a go around the same circuit at the same time, 8 PM in the UK. And as you can see then, as we've mentioned already on stream tonight, our new partner stream, European League Racing, they are racing this Friday at Imola. That's 8:15 UK on their Twitch channel, EULR_F122. And our other league that we promote as well, of course, the URC are racing as well. It's Abu Dhabi this week for them, round 15 of their third season. That's at 7:30, and you can watch it, of course, on twitch.tv/the URC. As I said though, we've got nothing else to give on this stream though, apart from TJ, of course. Somehow, if you want to quickly, somehow, as I mentioned, try and pick a driver of the day.
Yeah, I've been dreading that question. I mean, it could go to any one of them top four. Livs did a fantastic job getting back into the battle and finishing on the podium. The three guys produced some entertainment, but I think I've got to give it to our TTR debutant, ETSR Jensen. He's done a fantastic drive. It did some fantastic results, and no offense to the other two guys, but didn't bottle it on the final lap.
Yeah, definitely. And that's probably the only way you could pick between them as well. You've got to go with the winner in a fight like that. So well done, Jensen, driver of the day on your debut as well to go along with your win. But until we are back live tomorrow, and please join us, because if it was anything like tonight, it's going to be an absolute cracker. Take care, and it's good night from all of us at TTL.